I want you to pay attention from the beginning of this video till the end of it. Pay attention. Watch it from the beginning till the end. You're about to hear what you have never heard before. You are about to hear what I call bombshell. This is explosive. This is unbelievable. I assure you, you have never heard this before. I want you to pay attention. I repeat, pay attention. Pay attention. Watch this video from the beginning of it till the end. You are about to hear how the West, our Caucasians, our Europeans, it doesn't matter if they are in the United States, in government, they are all Europeans. It doesn't matter if they are in Australia, they are all Europeans. I want you to see how slavery moved to colonization and neo-colonization, and that is what it is right now. Majority of us are talking about Niger without proper understanding of some things, but this video, I promise you, will shed more light. Let us come to Nigeria. We have insecurity. Boko Haram. What is really going on about this? We've heard several accounts of some people saying that Boko Haram or terrorism has become a business. Military is involved. How? They get money from allocations and, of course, procurement of weapons, which we know they will never ever put an end to terrorism. Once the problem is solved, there will be no big allocation given to them. That is on one side. Of course, there are Muslim clerics, religious terrorists who are making some form of money from it also. And not just money. Some of them feel just good that people are losing their lives. Of course, we have the executive. The executive, and I'm talking about the presidency. There is a lot involved in all, from the governors of the state and all of that in the northern part of Nigeria. There is a lot of rot involved. A lot of rot involved. Now, let us go to the influence from outside. Is it possible? Is it possible that the United States is behind the continuous insecurity, or let's just say terrorism, in Nigeria? I know many people who are Western-centric, if there's a word for that, who are American-centric, who say, though it's not possible. If Nigerians, I mean the country called Niger Republic, can say enough is enough, our uranium, which is used to build weapons, to muscle on other countries, and to power your country, we do not want to have this parasitic relationship anymore. If a coup could put an end to the cooperation of a president who claims that he's a civilian democratic, I'm talking of Bazoum that was kicked out, if this could shed light to the rot in Niger, do not think that your country is left behind, unless your country is empty, dry, without any resources. This video that you're about to watch will shock you. It will blow your mind if you're a Nigerian, if you're African, or you're a Pan-African, whatever. It will blow your mind, I promise. I want you to listen to a first-hand account of what really happened during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's administration, transferred to Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired the president of Nigeria. And of course, you'll be hearing about that war, silent vampire war in the north of Nigeria that has spread to every part, that has spread to other parts of neighboring countries around Nigeria. Let us get right into it. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel.
Would you walk us through the Boko Haram offensive?
Boko Haram offensive was really not part of executive outcomes. That was STEP International that actually partook in that offensive. I need to first of all make it very clear that we were a subcontractor. There was a prime contractor appointed that appointed us as a subcontractor. Our initial aim was not Boko Haram per se, but it was to rescue the Chibok girls. They were the girls that had been kidnapped, and where the Western response was #SaveTheGirls. That type of nonsense does not save girls. Unfortunately, these girls became victims of a situation where the security had broken down in a specific area. They were kidnapped, and that was the first mission: rescue the Chibok girls. We then did a selection process of the Nigerian soldiers. The soldiers were retained after the selection process, were then trained in a very specific way to conduct a hostage rescue operation. And that requires a very specific type of person. However, approximately 5 or 6 weeks into the training of the hostage rescue team, we were asked to change our mission. And that mission was to go to a town called Maiduguri in northeast Nigeria that had come under severe threat of Boko Haram. We then rapidly had to transition what we were doing and suddenly train a very offensive force with a minimum of equipment, and we rushed to Maiduguri. We met with the 7th Infantry Division commander. We finally understood the pressures he was under, and our suggestion was to him that this force we had trained, which we named the 72nd Mobile Strike Force, would actually spearhead the division. And that is precisely what we did. The operation was in 3 phases. The first phase was to actually cut a dividing line across northeastern Nigeria and isolate Boko Haram into 2 defined areas, and then mop up one area in the south was the start, and after that was done, mop up in the north. The division would follow behind, occupy terrain. We would train the division in situ in defensive positions, etc., but we were never allowed to execute the entire operation. So in 1 month, we took back terrain larger than Belgium from Boko Haram. We were not allowed to finish because it came at a time when governments were in the process of changing. I think President Jonathan's government possibly saw the entire Boko Haram contract, if we call it that, almost as a last gasp in order to regain popularity. The incoming president, President Buhari, was heavily supported by a foreign government, and one of the first missions was to terminate our contract.
Could you name that foreign government?
Yes, we were told it was the United States, and they had actually funded President Buhari's campaign. The campaign manager for President Buhari came from the US, and I'm not saying that the United States is bad. I understand foreign interests, but I would have thought that a threat such as Boko Haram on the integrity of the state of Nigeria ought to be actually a priority. It wasn't.
Why do you think the US would intervene to abort such operation?
Again, I can't answer that. I think that the US can answer, but what I've come to realize, that is when a government's foreign interests clash with the state's own domestic interests, conflict is bound to ensue. And those conflicts usually just continue with no end. And we can look at all the conflicts in Africa where foreign forces have come in, they've prolonged those conflicts, they haven't ended those conflicts. And the amount of money and manpower and equipment thrown at those conflicts says to me that something is wrong if no end result is achieved. And surely that end result should be to end the conflict and establish a basis for negotiations, come to an agreement, and then re-establish governance. But that's not what's happening in Africa.
I want to repeat the words of late Sani Abacha, a military dictator, where he said, if a conflict or conflict internal continues for more than 48 hours, you should know that the government is involved, meaning that the government has the power, the capacity to crush, to put an end to any form of insurgency. There is always a government, there is always a hand or hands involved in it. This is the same happening in Niger, a country that borders Nigeria. France is involved. France is involved in the continuous terrorism. I'll tell you this for free. According to those who planned this coup, some of you might call it revolution, one of the reasons why they did this is because majority of their soldiers were dying. And once they arrest any of these bandits and terrorists, the president will say, do nothing to them. ask for permission from the French military officers. And we know that there are American soldiers also on that land. They've all been told to get out and they are no more there. Why should questions and answers occur when you pick a terrorist? I believe that when terrorists that are hell-bent on killing you, terrorists don't bargain, they don't talk. They want to take you out and you are going after them. You should know there will be collateral damage. It's as simple as that. But once they are arrested, that is for those who were not murdered, they will be asked by the president to speak to the French military officers, the army, the intelligence agency of France in Niger. Permission will have to be taken. And at the end of the day, when they follow through, they realize that these terrorists, bandits, and wicked people are not prosecuted as they want. They want them out once and for all, because putting them back into the society will not stop them from what they are doing. There's no amount of money you will pay a terrorist that can kidnap and get millions of dollars. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel, drop your comment. What do you think? Use the thanks button, tap on it to encourage us to do more.